Hello. In my last video, Java concurrency example, load the arc with multithreading part 2. We make the program running faster by having the helper thread start earlier, so the main thread and the helper thread can start working on loading the arc at the same time instead of having the main thread finish the work then start the helper thread. In this section, we will fix the concurrent modification exception. Let's get what we left from last time and paste it into Eclipse. Okay, let's run it. This is what we left over last time. This time we will focus on this issue. loadedAnimals is assessed by public method load and public method hasAnimal. So there is one possible scenario. Thread 1 is trying to iterate through the loadedAnimals, while thread 2 just added a new pair in the middle of the iterating. So while thread 1 is iterating, the content changes. And when it's trying to access the iterator, concurrent modification exception will throw. Let's review this with debugger. We put a breakpoint here, and we put a breakpoint at the core of load. Okay, the load is here. Let's put a breakpoint here. And we also put a breakpoint at the beginning. And let's run the program. Okay, main thread starts the helper thread. Okay, and let's see the helper is ready to loading. And let's go back to the main thread. That is run to the same breakpoint. And let's remove this breakpoint so that main thread can run to the next breakpoint, which is iterating. And where it is trying to iterate, the helper thread, let it change the content. Okay, now it changes content since it's loaded arc. Let's go back to the main thread. If it's trying to iterate, okay, and concurrent modification exception is thrown. Let's run it to finish. Run it to finish too. Remove the breakpoint so it can finish. Okay, this is we see the concurrent modification exception. How to fix this? We need to guard the iterator. And the document of the wrapper says if you want to use the iterator, you need to hold a correct lock. What is a correct lock? It is set returned by this wrapper. In other words, the loaded animal is the lock we should hold if we want to use the iterator. So let's hold the lock. Then iterate. Okay, make the format a little bit prettier. Okay, let's do the same thing. Put a breakpoint here, and put a breakpoint at the corner of this load. Okay, and let's start the program. Okay, the main thread starts the helper thread, and let it run to the breakpoint. Okay, also let's go to the helper thread. It's already on the breakpoint. This time we let the helper thread proceed to the next breakpoint, which is iterating. Then we go back to the main thread, let it change the content of the loaded animal. Okay, it already changed the content. I pressed too much, so it's what happens is, you see, it cannot change the content. It's stuck here, and there's no proceed available. Why? Because In order to load, it have to hold this lock first, and the lock already held by the helper thread. At this point, only the helper thread can proceed. So let it proceed and print out and run to finish. Let it run to finish. Now the helper thread exits. The main thread can proceed. And you see, the next is available. Let's run to finish. So this time we didn't see the concurrent modification exception because both the iterator and the add is guarded by same lock, which is correction returned by the wrapper. We can fix this in another way, and in order to we can do this without a wrapper and got all the access to this correction with synchronized keyword. So both method is guarded by this lock, and we should be fine, and we don't need this anymore. Okay, makes the format a little bit prettier. Okay, and the difference is this time the lock is an instance of arc instead of this one. Okay, because it's guarded by this keyword. Let's do the same thing. We put a breakpoint at the corner of the load. Okay, and we run the program. And have the main thread start the helper and have it run to the breakpoint, and go back to the thread, make it run to the breakpoint, and have the main thread proceed to the next breakpoint. Okay, so the main is ready to iterate, and you see the lock it hold is this time is instance of arc instead of loaded animal. Now let's have try to have the helper thread load arc. Oh, you see, it cannot proceed because it needs a lock which is held by the main thread. So only main thread can proceed at this time. Let it run to finish. Okay. Now the main thread, the helper thread can proceed to finish. So this time we didn't see that problem anymore. And that is that is the topic of this video.